Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. Well, we did it. 15,000 subscribers. Happened late last night. I'm really stoked about that. Very excited. I had two goals when I first started a YouTube channel. One was 6,000 and we hit that. And then less than a year later, 15,000. Really appreciative to all the subscribers. Thank you so much. So I said we'd do something special today for the 15,000. So I'm going to take you inside to my living room and show you something I think you'll find pretty interesting. Okay, here's the corner of my living room, and this is basically where I spend a lot of my time when I'm not in the shop. I used to shoot competitive archery, target archery, and I guess I got a few bows up here, but this is the object that I wanted to show you, and I think you'll get a real kick out of it. Now what this is, it's a portable machine shop, so to speak, and I made this I guess about 10-12 years ago, and let me show you what it looks like open. Wow! Okay, here it is open, and to illuminate it, there's this little switch panel here, and you hit the light button and now it's all lit up, and I just want to show you it empty so you could see some of the cool features that this has. You've seen my mini lathe downstairs. This is actually called a micro lathe. This is made by TAIG Company, and they produce these lathes for I guess it's going on 20-something years now, and it's a really nice little lathe, and it does everything a big lathe can do, but in a smaller scale. And I could put a nice continuous duty motor on. I made this years ago, again, before. I mean, the way to do it, if I had to do all over again, would be a treadmill motor that was variable speed. But at the time I wanted this, it was continuous duty. I could run it all the time, and you can see here it's a regular lathe like you would see, and it has your little drill that you can operate, and it has your tailstock, and it's a wonderful thing. It's quick. And let me show you some of the cool features of this. When I made this, I was kind of dabbling in woodworking, so I want to show you some of the curvatures. I tried to make everything curved, so when it opened up, when these when it closed up like this, it would give pleasing lines to it, and when it opened up, it would give very much interest to the curves. There was, on the outside there was no straight lines, so to speak. And then I made some shelving here that and I'm going to show you what usually goes in there, and again curved down here, and underneath here, which is pretty interesting, is these little cabinets. More storage. I put these little cabinets here, and how they open, as you can see, they open up like that, and they'll pull out. They'll just pull out. There's a little magnet that holds it open, and then you have a cabinet here with multiple shelves that you can put things on both sides if you wanted to. So that was pretty interesting. And then again, I put outlets to run any accessories like Dremels or things like that. There were literally 100 accessories that the TAIG lathe could use, and you could easily stock all these shelves with them. Plus, I made a specific drawer that I could use, and this drawer here, I used heavy-duty hinges here that I could use this as a work base if I needed to. I can slide it out here, use as a work base, or I could take this off, and there was a drawer here that you could put some accessories. This is one of those cutting boards I was telling you about, just 11 inches. It fits perfect, and so that is a heavy-duty drawer slide. Here are the switches. Let me show you what the switches do. On the right side, this is the master light power. That's an illuminated switch. Over here, this toggle is just to control this halogen that's right above the lathe here. Sometimes you need extra light right above the lathe, and it's all halogen lighting. Over here is a vacuum. That's really cool. A lot of times you'll be making chips or whatnot, and I have a little vacuum hose here, and all I have to do is hit this switch. And the vacuum is all self-contained. I'll show you that in the back. And it has its own little dump canister, so any kind of chips you can get rid of. On this side of the lathe, you have your power. This is your switch here, and under this protected switch is your forward and reverse. Right now it's in forward. If you switch it, that's neutral, and that would be reverse. It's a three-way switch. push it down, it goes back to the default, which is forward. And to operate the lathe, all you do is just push this button. And it's easy as pie. Now, to change speeds, normally I like a variable speed, but this is so simple because the motor rests on a hinge. And right now, when you put the belt on the largest pulley here and the smallest one there, that'll give you its slowest speed. This is what it looks like. Now, if I want to change that to medium speed, again, there are 6 speeds, but I'll go right to medium. Here, we're going to move it up to this pulley right here, right next to there, and then over here. And you can see that's how quick a speed change is. Now it's on medium speed. Now, again, if I want to put on high speed, I would go to the last pulley section here, down to the smallest one here. That's it. That's high speed. And you can see, you know, it's a very high speed at that. Now, normally on a lathe like this, I'm going to be using it for, you know, light duty things. Obviously, it's not a big lathe. So here we're going to chuck in some Delrin. Let me show you how this lathe operates. To open and close the chuck, there are 2 little pins, and there are holes all the way around it. And by rotating it like this is closing it, this is opening it. So when you have your piece of stock, like we're going to have here, you could put it in here, just rotate these pins around until it grabs the stock, and then just pull it apart again, and that gets a good purchase on that stock. That's in there solid. Then you just want to give it a check. It's running true. To move the carriage left and right, there's a little knob here that you can move just like this, left and right. If you pull this out a little bit, you move it quickly by your hand just like this, and then engage the gear like this and use this again. Also, this is in and out, you know, by moving it here. And if you wanted to change the angle of your tool, it has a little hex key right here. You just put the little hex key in, loosen it up, you could change the angle, tighten it up, and that's solid like that. And this is filled with cement. It's an aluminum bed filled with cement. And the tailstock also works the same way. There's a little a nut here. Again, I made these on the lathe. And what you do is you slide it back and forth. You get to where you want, and then you lock it down. This activates the in and out of the drill. And there's a lot of accessories you can put on that tailstock. Let me give you a quick example of how this would cut. Here again, I got a piece of Delrin in here, and I'm going to turn it on and just cut a little section off there. See, Delrin always makes a lot of shit. Again, to loosen up the stock from the work, just put the 2 pins in, any holes that are close, squeeze it together, work pops right out. And what we made here is, I'm going to put this into the tailstock, you could see here, tighten up the tailstock, and now we have a nice little cone that we can use to support work made of Delrin or something like that. And I was just, again, these are fun things to do on the lathe. And let me show you how the key is open, how much it will open up the chuck. That's about the working range on a chuck. So you got a little bit over probably an inch and a half. And again, to close it, you just use the corresponding closed holes like this, and that'll close it right up. And there are different chucks you can use on here. This is a 3-jaw chuck. You can also use a 4-jaw. This is a 4-jaw chuck, which will go right on there. It's threaded right here, slips right on. Let me show you how easy that comes off. To remove the chuck, very simple. Just take this chuck key. You can't really lose this one, right? And that's why you got to find a spot to hang it on the wall. But you just put it right behind the chuck, give it a little turn, and spin it right off. And these threads, it makes quick work of taking it off. And you can see there's a lot of thread, a lot of accessory you can put on that spin. Now, one of the real beauties of this machine is how versatile it is. Now, I can adjust all the speeds that I want to adjust. Now, with this 3/4 by 16 little adapter here, you could buy these from TAIG. These are more or less blanks. They're threaded like that. They spin on very easily. You can see here, it spins right on. And from that accessory, you can put all different kind of discs, wire wheels, brushes, any kind of thing like that. I have one with a cutoff wheel. You could see a cutoff wheel if you wanted to cut it off. There's so many things that you could put on here. Here's a little grinding wheel attachment. Comes with different size grinding wheels, and you put that on here, and you could sharpen your tools. You could take it, and while it's on the tool post, you could come over and sharpen your tools by just touching it against the grinding wheel when it's running. Here's a little compound slide that fits on top of your normal slide. If you want to cut angles, like if you want to cut this angle, you would put whatever angle you want to put in, and you could see how this would follow that angle until you cut that angle. So that's a compound slide, and that can adjust for any angle you want. If you wanted to cut a ball or a curved end on a piece of stock, what you would do is mount your stock in the chuck and use this little ball turner. That's another TAIG accessory, and you bring it up to the work, and you could see how that will follow the ball profile around the tip. So obviously here, I'm just going, this stock will be out more, but you can see how it follows the ball exactly around, and you can make a nice round surface that way. But your stock has to come out a little further or else you'll hit this. But you could put the ball end on. Drilling out a piece of stock couldn't be easier. Just pick out the appropriate drill size, mount it in your tailstock chuck here, the little Jacobs chuck, tighten it down here with the Jacobs key, and use this lever to feed the work into the stock. Let me show you that operation. Let's say you wanted to put a thread on the end of a piece of stock. You use this little threading accessory that goes onto the tailstock. It threads on, and you put your little button die there. Your thread button and your die goes in there, and I'll show you how that goes on. Now, once the button die holder is installed, all you do is use the lathe chuck pins to tighten it to do your threading. Here I'm going to show you, we're going to clean up a little piece of stock real quick. You can see how easy, I'm not using the right tool for plastic here, but you can see how easy it does take it down, you know, and as you know, Delrin always does make a lot of clumpy chips, but it cleans it up very nicely, and you can do a really good job with the right angle tool. Now I know what you're asking. You're asking, can it mill? Can it be a milling machine? Well, here we have a piece of square stock, and we have a little milling attachment here that goes on. And how this works, you place your item into the milling machine, and you could raise it up and down here, or back and forth, forward and backwards, and you put the little mill cutter into here. Let me show you it working. Here is that little slot we just milled, and you can see it does a nice job. If you were going to do it on aluminum or steel, you would just have to take lighter cuts. Here we took the full depth of cut and we milled it that way, so had no problem whatsoever. Now, it only takes about 10 seconds to take off the milling attachment. Two nut slides right off. We do a quick vacuum cleanup, and now we're going to attach a adapter to allow us to use the Jacobs chuck on the spindle and attach all kinds of cool accessories. Okay, last up, couple features I want to show you before we close up. When you're all finished, doors close up, and this is totally portable. And I made it that way because eventually I wanted to bring it to the scouts and let them use it, but never got around to it with this project. But you can see from behind, it's got bigger rear wheels in the back, so you can use it like a hand truck, but the top separates from the bottom. Remove these two screws and there's clips that all the power comes off. There's accessory outlets back here. If you want the power lights or whatever, you could do that through the front. And this is really cool down here. Let me show you this. Okay, here's the power cord that powers the whole unit. And here's the vacuum. It's a small little vacuum, and what I did is I ran the vacuum hose goes into this canister. This canister picks up all the metal and dust, and for a filter I used a piece of Scotch-Brite. So nothing gets through here that's of any thickness. And then here's your vacuum. So this suction goes into that hose you saw up front, and this captures everything. You just empty this out. It's a little stand here, and here's another outlet, again, if you need more power. So in closing, I hope you enjoyed my little tour of my mini machine shop, micro machine shop up in the living room. And I do appreciate you stopping by, and thanks so much for tuning in and for the 15,000 subscribers. Have a nice day. Take care now. Bye-bye.